Imagine this. Years have passed with no significant changes in your life, and you wake up one day to find that out. The life you once imagined is now more of a pipe dream than an actual possibility, and your aspirations have faded into oblivion. There appears to be no end in sight, and all you can do is go through the motions, hoping that something will change. Have you ever wondered why this is the case? What gives some people the strength to finally accomplish something, while others remain mired in a never-ending loop of procrastination? Today, we're going to shed light on an unseen aspect that, unknowingly, may be limiting your potential, happiness, and success. This vitality is passivity, the inclination to do nothing as one watches one's life unfold. The final insight is the most important because it might unlock a future of confidence, activity, and unstoppable forward motion. This invisible trap keeps you from making the adjustments you know you should, and the worst part is that the majority of people never manage to break free of it. Still, you will, since this video will teach you not just how passivity is dictating your life, but also the best approach to break free of it. Passivity is one of the worst character flaws a person may have. At first glance, it may not appear to be a problem. In reality, it often masquerades as cautiousness, over-analysis, or patience. As a result, you end up in situations that don't fulfill you and allow your fears to dictate your decisions. In spite of your instinctive knowledge that taking action is the only way forward, it convinces you to sit on your hands. However, from what source does this passivity stem? Why do some people seem to be able to achieve everything that needs doing, while others seem to be completely stuck? This phenomenon has been studied by psychologists for decades, with the father of positive psychology, Martin Seligman, offering one of the most famous theories. In one of his famous studies, he subjected dogs to a string of uncontrollably unpleasant events. After a while, even when presented with an obvious way out, the dogs ceased attempting to flee. The same holds true for humans. We begin to think our efforts are futile when we are rejected, discouraged, or fail frequently. Our actions and, in the end, our reality are shaped by this notion, which seeps into our minds. But inactivity can also be caused by something far more subtle: comfort. Comfort is one of the most perilous causes of passivity, not failure. How simple it is to establish habits. Have you thought about it? Our brains are hardwired to want stability and predictability, regardless of how unpleasant the habit may be. Although this tendency kept our ancestors alive in the past, by discouraging them from taking unnecessary risks, it often backfires in today's environment. We tend to settle for what we know, even if it isn't always the best option. Time passes from day to week to year, and then suddenly our lives are finished. At its core, passivity poses this danger. Not only are there no alerts or cautions, but it also doesn't seem hazardous. On the contrary, it operates invisibly, softly reassuring you that tomorrow is a new day, that you should start when the moment is right, that there is still time, but that the truth is here. Right now is not the best time to do anything, and procrastination makes action harder. But step back and ask a deeper question. Just how much does passivity set you back? What will happen if we allow ourselves to be controlled by hesitation and inaction? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, provided a profound answer to this question in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He argued that humans are most driven by a desire for meaning in life, not by power, as Friedrich Nietzsche believed, or pleasure, as Sigmund Freud suggested. Inactivity, says Frankl, deprives life of meaning more than anything else. And when individuals don't have anything to strive for, they drift aimlessly through existence. Think about it. Do you remember the last time you felt truly alive? When did you last push yourself outside your comfort zone, take a chance, and pursue something worthwhile? Was it while you were unsure of what to do, waiting for the right moment, or avoiding problems? The truth is that being passive will not lead to meaning. Rather, it is activity that produces meaning. Despite the obvious negative effects of passivity, few people ever stop to consider why they continue to do it. Why do we remain mired in a rut when we are aware that we ought to be making progress? Once you discover the solution, which may surprise you, everything will change. Envision yourself at the point where you must decide, but you are afraid to act because you know it could have a significant impact. You tell yourself you'll get to it tomorrow, that the conditions aren't right, and that you need more time. Still, the days pass by, the weeks pass by, and the years pass by, and before you realize it, very little has altered. Why do we enable a great number of individuals to be ensnared in lives that truly disappoint them? There it is, the unseen power of passivity in action. Who or what is the invisible force that is stopping us from doing something? We still need to understand the comfort trap concept, even though we know that change is necessary to fix this. At first glance, comfort seems like a good thing. After all, who would object to feeling safe, relaxed, and protected? Paradoxically, as we become more comfortable, we are less likely to take the risks that are necessary for progress. While ease is great when it lasts, it usually sacrifices what really matters in the long run. Have you ever stayed in a job you hated because it was easier than starting over? Have you remained in a relationship that no longer brought you happiness simply because the thought of change felt overwhelming? This is the comfort trap in action. It convinces you that staying where you are is better than facing the unknown. But the truth is, the greatest regrets in life are not the mistakes we make, but the chances we never take. Psychologists have found that the human brain is wired to avoid uncertainty. Our ancestors relied on predictability to survive, avoiding risks that could threaten their lives, but in the modern world, this instinct often backfires instead of protecting us. It holds us back instead of avoiding danger. We end up avoiding opportunity. But here's the harsh reality. No one ever achieved greatness by staying comfortable. Every person who has ever accomplished something significant had to confront discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is the willingness to take action despite the fear. This brings us to one of the most important questions of all. How do you break free from the grip of passivity? How do you stop procrastinating and start doing? Mel Robbins, a motivational speaker and author, provides one of the best strategies. One simple yet very effective strategy that she championed was the 5-second rule. Follow this simple rule. When you feel the need to act, count down from 5. Don't let fear consume you. Don't let your thoughts linger. Take action before the thought of it becomes too daunting. Because it forces you to take action rather than continue the pattern of overanalyzing, this strategy is beneficial. Another crucial strategy is to shift your emphasis from motivation to punishment. Many people wait until they feel prepared to take action, but the truth is that motivation is unpredictable. It ebbs and flows, and you can't rely on it to continually propel you forward. Rather, self-control is the key to actual change. Having self-control is seeing through your obligations regardless of how you feel about them. It comprises making decisions not driven by emotions, but by your goals. Nuclear Habits author James Clear eloquently explains this. In his view, the key to success is not making drastic changes all at once, but rather committing to little, consistent actions over time. Making even a little bit of progress every day can lead to incredible results. The problem with passivity is that it has the opposite effect. Little moments of hesitance and avoidance can add up to a lifetime of regret. Yet few understand that passivity encompasses more than just not making big decisions. In subtle ways, it shows up every day. Examples include avoiding eye contact during meetings, putting off starting an exercise routine, and spending too much time on social media instead of getting anything done. It becomes more difficult to break the habit of inaction with each passing minute of indifference. This is why knowing oneself is so important. You must learn to identify the moments when you allow inactivity to rule your life. Can you tell me what I need to do, but keep putting it off? In what areas of my life am I letting my fears and feelings dictate my choices? How would my life change if I stopped second-guessing myself and started acting boldly? You need to know why millions of people keep living lives they hate before you can learn the best way to break free of passivity. One of the most powerful psychological barriers to action, passivity has an unseen force that most people fail to see. Once you comprehend what it is, your perspective on passivity will change forever. There isn't any lack of motivation, anxiety, or sloth. The concept of identity is far more deceitful. When you allow your current limitations, instead of your potential, to define you, you will experience identity paralysis. It's the firm belief that this character trait has always been a part of me, and when you hold this view, it's difficult to change your behavior. Think about it. If you lack self-control and don't think you're a born leader, how likely are you to stick to a new routine? Will you ever be the one to show your confidence when it's needed? If you convince yourself that you are terrible at making choices, Will you ever stop letting go of your life and your identity? Has an effect on your actions, which affects your trajectory through life. People don't change because they can't, but rather because they believe they can't. And this is why they remain in cycles of passivity. Psychologist Carol Dweck discovered that most people fall into one of two categories when it comes to their mindset: those who have growth mindsets and those who have fixed mindsets. Individuals who hold a fixed attitude avoid difficulties because they believe their abilities, intelligence, and personality attributes are immutable and will be exposed if they fail. The opposite is true of people with a growth mentality who believe that they can improve themselves via effort and further study. They view setbacks not as personal attacks, but as opportunities to grow. Thus, they eagerly seek out challenges. This is the most important thing to understand. You will never do anything to change your situation if you believe that it defines you. In a rigid stance, passivity thrives. But if you embrace a development mentality and realize that there is room for improvement in every aspect of your character, you will no longer be able to remain passive. That being said, how does one go about implementing this modification? The inability to move forward due to identification paralysis begs the question: how can one overcome this? The solution lies in identity-based activity. Changing your self-perception, not setting goals, is what really gets you where you want to go, says James Clear in Atomic Habits. Instead of fixating on your future goals, focus on the person you need to become if you wish to exude self-assurance. Behaving in a disciplined manner is the first step toward becoming one. Think like a disciplined person and make decisions accordingly. You are casting a vote for the person you aspire to be with every action you do. So, doing things is necessary before you may be inspired. Most people believe they need to be ready before doing anything, but the truth is that you can't get motivated until you actually do something. Even a modest step changes your identity. You start to see yourself differently, and progress builds momentum. But there's more to it than that. Passivity encompasses not just thinking and identity, but also emotional resistance. Many people remain inactive because they experience great emotional distress when they take action. It could be due to a fear of judgment, a fear of failing, or a fear of letting go of a past self. Researchers in the field of neuroscience have shown that, similar to how it reacts to physical threats, the brain also reacts to psychological ones. The amygdala, a region of the brain responsible for fear and survival instincts, gets activated whenever you consider stepping out of your comfort zone, mistaking it for a danger. You shouldn't let your brain sabotage you. It's actually attempting to shield you from the dangers of uncertainty, which is why taking action isn't always easy. The most important thing is to take action regardless of how scared you are. It's not necessary to conquer your fear first. Psychological flexibility is the capacity to proceed, even when one does not feel completely prepared. This is achieved by training one's brain to perceive discomfort as harmless. Doing this regularly will make it second nature. Although most individuals don't realize it, the answer is simple if passivity is caused by emotional resistance and mindset identification. The moment you decide to take radical responsibility, you'll see a dramatic shift. Quit putting things off, quit making excuses, and quit blaming yourself, other people, or circumstances. Realizing that no one is going to save you and that your life will be defined by the choices you make, or don't make, are essential components. When you finally decide to take full responsibility for your actions, you reclaim your power and stop wishing for things to change. Instead, you start making those changes happen. This is the most freeing truth you will ever hear. While this is an undeniable fact, many find it hard to accept because it eliminates any room for denial. Here is where most people go wrong, though. They mistakenly believe that taking full responsibility means addressing every issue simultaneously, and that an ideal approach is necessary. Entire assurance and absolute certainty prior to acting. Here's another trap. In actuality, clarity is established by action rather than the other way around. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos once made a remarkable point regarding decision-making. You will always be too late if you wait for total assurance before acting. He added that you would never feel entirely prepared or have immaculate information in life. However, you should take action if you can decide with even 70% of the facts at your disposal, because action breeds learning, and learning breeds improved judgment. Because of this, successful people are only those who act in the face of uncertainty, rather than those who have everything sorted out. They take tiny steps and begin before they feel ready. Adjust your strategy based on what you learn from your mistakes, but how do you deal with failure? One of the main causes of people's inactivity is their intense fear of failure, which makes them prefer to do nothing than run the danger of making a mistake. Nevertheless, they overlook the fact that setbacks are essential to success rather than the nemesis of it. When questioned about his numerous failures during the creation of the light bulb, Thomas Edison famously remarked, "I have not failed. I have just discovered 10,000 ways that will not work." Every successful person in history has this mentality. They realize that failure is only feedback, knowledge, and the only real failure is not trying. Failure does not represent one's value or talent. So, how do you actually implement all of this? What are some ways to break out of a rut and start living a life that matters? To begin, let's debunk the misconception that you need inspiration before taking action. Rather than the other way around, people are motivated to take action. Stop waiting for inspiration and start acting on a regular basis. Second, take stock of your identity. Do not continue to believe that you have always been this way or that you have difficulty taking initiative. You can't let your past dictate your future. Do something now to show that you are an action-oriented person. The choice is yours. Third, make it easier to take action. A lot of individuals don't move forward because they believe they need to make huge leaps, but in fact, it's the little consistent things that add up to progress. If things appear too complicated, try to simplify them. Do you want to launch a brand new endeavor? Spend no more than 5 minutes on it. Are you interested in starting a new habit? Start with the simplest version. Gradual changes lead to major shifts. Last but not least, make up your mind to make snap decisions. Procrastination often stems from giving things too much thought. The more time you pause, the more room you give to worry and doubt. Put this rule into practice. Whenever you're faced with a decision, whether it's 5 minutes, a day, or 5 seconds, give yourself a short window of time and then take action. Life rewards chances for action that don't wait, and time is a constant killer. What comes next is the true inquiry. Make a difference in your future by the choices you make now. Do you want to wait around, second-guess yourself, and be hesitant? Or do you want to take responsibility, move forward, and start creating the life you truly desire? Your selection will have the greatest impact on your future. I am grateful that you took the time to read this.